Hey, what's going on? It's Joey Myers from the Hitting Performance Lab, and in this Francisco Lindor swing breakdown video, we're going to go over 3 different things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at his metrics according to Fangraphs. The next thing are the big 3 in the catapult loading system, and then the last thing we're going to look at is when the wrist snap happens. Now let's take a look at some of the stats and give a little context to Francisco Lindor in the swing breakdown. You can see he is a smaller hitter, smaller slugger, 5'11", 190 pounds. He switch hits, so bats both, throws righties, 26. You can see down here in 2019, putting his power in perspective, he's hit 32 homers in the last years prior, 38, 33, that was 2017, and the video analysis swings we're going to look at are from 2017. He's hit about 40 doubles or so in those last 3 years, or the last 4 years, 30 doubles in 2016. Hits about 284. And if we look at his batted ball totals, as in line drive percentage, ground ball percentage, and fly ball percentage, line drive percentage in 2019 right here was just about average. 20% is league average. Ground ball rate is average. League average is 43%. Fly ball percentage is just slightly below average at 36.6. Average is about 37, but pretty close to league averages there. The one thing that is above, well above league average, is his home run to fly ball percentage, which is at 17.4. And you can see the prior years, 17.3, 14.0, 9.9, 13.0 are all well above average on the 9 or 9.5% of home run to fly ball ratios as the major league average. So let's start with the big 3 in the catapult loading system in this Francisco Lindor swing breakdown. You got the lefty at bat over here and the righty at bat over here. Let's give a little context to these pitches and the at bats. This is actually the second one over here. We're going to look at the pitch speed, 88 miles an hour. Some kind of breaking ball, maybe a slider. And this one he hit for a home run into the right field bleachers, right center field bleachers. Over here on the right is righty at bat. He's a little bit out in front. We have a 79 mile an hour, probably a slider here, that he pulls in the 5.5 hole. Okay, so what I refer to as the big 3 in the catapult loading system is the build more consistent power in a swing. There are 3 buckets to our systems, the different systems we teach. That's one of them. The second one is the pitch plane domination system, and that's all about how to hit more line drives, and the reaction time mastery system, which is all about footwork, vision tracking, and timing. This video, this Francisco Lindor swing breakdown video, we're going to be going over the first system, the power systems, the catapult loading system. I refer to the big 3 as showing numbers, downward shoulder angle, and hiding the hands. So what you're going to see here, I have both of these swings synced up. On the left, the homer. On the right, the ball that he was a little bit out in front and he pulled into the 5.5 hole for a ground ball base hit. You can see that if we rewind to the beginning, and just so you know, the camera angle in center field is slightly off center towards left or left center. It's in center, but slightly towards left, and that is going to show any kind of right-handed batter as showing their numbers more than the left. So just understand that this isn't a complete apples-to-apples comparison, but you'll still see the difference in their starting positions and their landing positions. So you can see here, you can't see Francisco Lindor's number really on the left, and you can start to make it out a little bit here on the right, again, because of probably the off-centered camera in center field. But as the pitcher starts to get into the windup, gets ready to release the ball, you can start to see over here on the right, again, with our camera angle, you can see that 12, pretty clear as day at this point. And what I want you to do is, again, with that skew with the camera, watch the pinstripe. If we put a dot in these spots, is you'll see Lindor pull in more with the pelvis, almost similar to the Javier Baez swing analysis that I did a few weeks ago. You saw Baez extremely turn that pelvis in, and my argument is that we don't have to do that. see here that that pinstripe you can't see anymore on the right side. But on the left side, you can still see it. Again, we got a skewed camera angle, but it didn't move quite as much on the left as it did on the right. So this is something that Lindor actually doesn't have to do and might be closing himself off just slightly. But nonetheless, you can see, you can pretty much make out almost the full 1 and the 2. I used to teach showing numbers as showing both numbers or showing at least a number and a half. Evolved it more to where we want to create neck pressure. If we create neck pressure, then the hitter should be showing their numbers. It's more of an objective measure of showing numbers because every hitter is different. Their mobility in their neck is different. So you can see that Francisco Lindor in the swing breakdown, you can see his head really anchoring down for it in a tracking position, and he's moving his shoulder underneath his chin as far as he can, creating a ringing towel effect between his head and his shoulders. And he's creating this neck pressure at the T1, C7 vertebrae in the spine, just like wringing a towel out. And he's creating that neck pressure, which as a result will show his numbers. And also too, could be on the right side since he possibly is inward turning his pelvis a little bit more. It could be why he's showing his numbers a little bit more besides the camera angle. So that is the first of the big 3, showing numbers or creating neck pressure. The second of the big 3 is the downhill or downward shoulder angle. It's the hitter dipping their front shoulder down, creating this downhill shoulder angle that you can see with this back elbow as Francisco Lindor in the swing breakdown. You can see his back elbow, if you create this line, not quite as much over here on the right. He doesn't raise that elbow quite as much as on the left. And granted too, if you look at his at-bats and Fangraphs, he has a lot more at-bats, probably 60+% more on the left than he does on the right because he's seeing probably more righties than he is lefty pitchers. So you can see he's probably a little bit more grooved on the left anyway, and his power numbers show it. He's got plenty of more homers on the left than he does on the right, but again, that reflects the amount of plate appearances as well. But he has this downward shoulder angle. On the right, he's not using his back elbow as much. We do use back elbow with the hitters to steer the shoulders down, but not all hitters will click with that. So we'll just tell those hitters that they seem to, if we're telling them to raise the back shoulder at landing, then what tends to happen is their hands start to balloon up and rise up. So we don't want the hands to get up past a certain height. We want to make sure that their hands are in a decent, more comfortable position around the shoulder height, the back shoulder height, to be able to launch from. So if the hitter is having a hard time by bringing that back elbow up, like you see Francisco Lindor over here on the left, then what we'll just tell the hitter to do is just lower the front shoulder. So he's creating neck pressure, which is showing the number. This is a protraction of the front scapula for you movement nerds out there, you kinesiology nerds out there. And he is creating this downward shoulder angle so that his shoulders can actually flip. You'll see the front shoulder pop up and the back shoulder that's up will go down as he gets to the swing here. You see a complete reversal of that. And we should see in the follow through, we should see a complete reversal again back to almost where that his right shoulder on the left over here. So this front one starts down, pops up, and then should end up back down again over the other shoulder. And the reverse is true over here on the right. We see the left shoulder start down, pops up, and then it should end up back down again, which you see here. That is a proper deceleration of the spinal engine. The last piece of the big 3 is hiding the hands from the pitcher. So you can see the hands here from the left. You can see slightly the bottom hand on the right. And then you're going to see those hands disappear. You'll see them reappear back behind his head on the right. On the left, not quite so much. You see him disappear behind his head. But again, we're talking about a different camera angle here. And some call this the scapula row or a rear scap retraction for the kinesiology nerds back there. We should see both a protraction of the front scapula, which is showing the numbers, neck pressure, and we should also see a retraction of the rear scapula. We see both. We do not, especially in hitters like Lindor, who are 5'11", 190 pounds, we do not see, the ones that hit for power anyway, we do not see them only retracting the rear scapula and not showing their numbers or not using neck pressure. we see both. It is very hard for a hitter the size of Francisco Lindor to hit 30 homers a year for the last 3 or 4 years without showing numbers and just doing the rear scapula retraction. Not going to happen. So those are the big three as it is to the catapult loading system, showing numbers, downhill shoulder angle, and hiding the hands. Now let's check out the wrist snap. So a lot of young hitters, what they tend to do, and there's quite a few hitting instructors out there that are teaching this deep barrel dump and to chicken wing with the front elbow 90-degree bend as it comes through impact. The problem is, and this is what I'm seeing with both the hitting instructors and the hitters of the hitting instructors, and even in some of my hitters as we train this out of their swing, is they create a lot of space between their front arm and their chest as they're coming through. You can see this was the pitch that was middle in that Francisco Lindor hit a home run on to right. And you can see how tight he keeps this barrel. And we talk about the belly button catcher's glove. Imagine a catcher's glove in line with the hitter's belly button and a catcher's glove in line with the hitter's back foot. This is important when it comes to pitches middle in and middle up, because we want to be knocking off those catcher's gloves and not knocking off the real catcher's glove was back here, which would be, but you can see Francisco Lindor in the swing breakdown. You can see his barrel entering the attack zone at the back foot catcher's glove. So he's actually a little bit late here. He ends up speeding it up with his wrist snap. But what you're going to see is almost like there's a wall happening here. And he's going to get to this wall, and his hands are going to stop moving forward. What we see with young hitters is we'll see these hands continue forward, and they end up way out over here, chicken winging with the elbow, and their front arm drifting far away from their chest, which we don't want to do if we want a proper transfer of body to barrel to ball force. So we're going to see the best hitters will stop. Their hands will stop moving forward at a certain point, which you see is right here. It's like the hands hit a wall, and we have a wall drill for this, a wall turn or a phone booth drill that we use to help the hitter out with this, plus a wrist snap position. So you see as he releases into the back foot catcher's glove, you're going to see him pivot. Imagine a red laser coming out of the knob, and you got a green laser coming out of the barrel of the bat. And we see at a point where he'll flip it. He'll flip the red laser for the green. But you see this wrist snapping. Some may call pronation. As he gets through this ball, and you're going to see post-impact, both arms get extended. Full extension, both arms. Power V. This isn't the power V that was taught about a couple decades ago to happen at impact. That's not what we're trying to do. This is the power V that happens after impact. And with a proper transfer from body to barrel to ball, we should see this past impact. But it uses a combination of the big three of the catapult loading system and the wrist snap. At one point, the knob has to stop moving forward linearly and has to let the wrist snap and pronate with the top hand. Make sure that we're swinging smarter by moving better. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and before I let you go,
the Hitting Performance Lab wants to know, did you know repeatable hitting power does not start in the hips? Have you heard the expressions, load and explode the hips? Power comes from the hips. Well, we created a free video revealing the results of a scientific study that will show you how we added 48 feet of batted ball distance instantly. And it's not all about the hips. Click here now to get the video while it's still free.